Today on The Breakdown, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas responds to Donald Trump's appeal to allow the special master to review documents seized by the FBI. A CEO of an election software company was arrested in Michigan, and we've got an update on Florida's hurricane recovery and the media's gross, although very predictable treatment of Governor DeSantis. Hello, I'm Mike Huckabee. It's October the 6th, and this is The Breakdown. If you haven't already, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel below and be sure to click the notification bell. Now, despite YouTube's best efforts, the channel is close to 1 million subscribers. We'd really love your help getting there, so subscribe. On Tuesday, former President Trump filed an emergency appeal with the Supreme Court, asking that the special master assigned to the case be allowed to review dozens of documents that were seized from his home by the FBI. Justice Clarence Thomas ordered the Biden DOJ to respond to Trump's request by 5 p.m. next Tuesday. According to the Western Journal, Trump's emergency appeal said the appellate court went beyond its jurisdiction in keeping documents from Trump's lawyers. Furthermore, Trump's lawyers argue that, quote, any limit on the comprehensive and transparent review of materials seized in the extraordinary raid of a president's home erodes public confidence in our system of justice, end quote. We may be a bit beyond that at this point. I know this Supreme Court is hesitant to get involved in politically tinged cases, but when you have an obviously out-of-control DOJ and FBI staging an unprecedented raid of the home of a former president at the behest of a known highly partisan bureaucrat at the National Archives, it would just seem to be such a blatant violation of separation of powers that the Supreme Court should be willing to step in and halt it entirely rather than just argue about the minute details of the process. The whole process is rotten, and it should never have been allowed to go this far. I seriously doubt that giving the DOJ until Tuesday to come up with a defense of the indefensible is going to produce anything except some more hot gas and maybe some rear end covering. In other news directly related to Trump, the CEO of the election company that makes software called Connect has been arrested in Michigan as part of an investigation into the possible theft of personal identifying information of LA County election workers, and that the information, get this, was stored on servers in the People's Republic of China. I mean, what could possibly go wrong with that arrangement? According to RedState.com, LA District Attorney George Gascon announced the arrest of Connect CEO Eugene Yu. Gascon asserts that the alleged conduct had no impact on the tabulation of votes and did not alter election results. But hard drives were seized by LA District Attorney's office investigators, proving that, in the words of the Babylon Bee Seth Dillon, reality is bumping up against satire these days. It was only one day before that the New York Times had run a story about a, quote, small group of election deniers who pushed a conspiracy theory with their bare evidence that a small American election software company called, wait for it, Connect, had secret ties to the Chinese Communist Party and had given the Chinese government backdoor access to personal data about 2 million poll workers in the United States. The Times automatically dismisses anything that might in any way disturb the narrative that the 2020 election was the most honest, trustworthy, fraud-free election we've ever known in our lives. And it blew right up in their smug faces again. But just ignore all that. It's still imperative to the health of democracy that we prosecute and censor anyone who questions government-certified truths dispensed by the liberal outlets like the New York Times, no matter how much they lie through their teeth. Oh, consequently, they're also the same people who assured us that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. Let's not forget that. The New York Times is a disgraced, disgusting dish rag for Democrat disinformation. That's all it is these days. And finally, an update on Hurricane Ian. As of this recording, at least 84 people have been confirmed dead in the wake of Ian, 75 of them in Florida. President Biden visited Florida yesterday to tour the damage and met with Governor DeSantis. Thankfully, the White House made it clear that they put politics aside and coordinated all levels of government to help the storm victims.
Very fortunate to have good coordination with the White House and with FEMA from the very beginning of this.
This is the United States of America, and I emphasize united. We've seen extraordinary cooperation at every level of government, as the governor has said, and the cooperation began before the storm hit.
But some people, well, they just can't stop themselves from trying to politicize natural disasters. In the latest ridiculous and uninformed attempt to dunk on Governor DeSantis and his handling of Hurricane Ian, leftists have been reduced to mocking the white rubber boots that he wore to tour flood-damaged areas, apparently without realizing that they're a particular type of boot that is worn in situations like, well, touring flood-damaged areas. They're called muck boots, which is appropriate considering all the muck raking that his critics are doing. Now, just for the record, I actually own 2 pair of muck boots, but I will say that mine are not white. They're camo, and I use them for hunting. And quite frankly, they're the best boots I've ever owned to go through mud, woods, and debris, and even protect from snakes. Well, proving that Florida is definitely not a blue state, so far only 4 people have been arrested there for violating the anti-looting law in the wake of Hurricane Ian. DeSantis' earlier statement on looting may have had something to do with the low number of looting instances. Here's Governor DeSantis.
You can have people, bringing boats into some of these islands and trying to ransack people's homes. I can tell you, in the state of Florida, you never know what may be lurking behind somebody's home. And I would not want to chance that if I were you, given that we're a Second Amendment state.
I love the fact that there's signs out everywhere that say, "You loot, we shoot." By the way, reportedly 3 of the 4 looters who have been apprehended are actually illegal immigrants. DeSantis was naturally very unhappy about that. He didn't mince words about what should be done with them. It's fair to say that Joe Biden's apparent open-door policy at the southern border is partly to blame for the presence of these criminals in the country. Here again, Governor Ron DeSantis.
Illegally in our country, and not only that, they try to loot and ransack in the aftermath of a natural disaster. I mean, they should be prosecuted, but they need to be sent back to their home country. They should not be here at all.
Amen and amen, as we would say. Well, if the liberals in blue sanctuary cities like D.C. and New York City, if they don't want Florida sending them illegal immigrants who are just looking for a job, maybe they'd take the looters. Seems like they'd fit right in. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell below. Be sure to tune in to the live stream this Friday so I can answer all of your most uncomfortable and ridiculous questions. I'll be right there to do it. And if you want more of my news analysis and commentary, be sure to sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com. It is totally free. That's going to do it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.